And throw me a vamp. Somebody throw me a vamp, please.
Can you hold that up again? Oh,
I will in
you're
just
catching.
a second.
Haha.
Okay, how do we make this into this, and this, and this? It's very interesting. What we have are the measurements of how this comes across to here. We have how this comes over to here. We're going to make it so it goes like this. So you have to, what I will do, and I'm going to go to the board for this. Snap picture if you want. I'm going to go to the board with this. But what we're going to do is take this. I don't know if you can see it from there. Next time I'll bring tape as well. Basically we have, where's my Sharpie? We have a straight line, which I'm not going to draw because I don't have a straight edge. And I'm fastidious when it comes to that. But it goes right through the foot like this, okay? So we're going to start with a straight line. Oh God, that's a Sharpie on the board. Y'all, don't kill me. Toothpaste will get that off. I'm so sorry. I had them both in my hand. Okay, so toothpaste, just plain old white toothpaste. Straight line. It is wise to use a straight edge. It will be better for your measurements. You'll get a truer fit. And again, this is where a straight edge would come in handier than this. But for all intents and purposes, we'll pretend this is a straight edge. Or a straight ruler.
You can use the edge of a manila envelope.
You need the measurements. You could if it was already measured out. I'm sorry, I failed to bring my mental ruler. But what I will do is somewhere on here, I counted back a measurement. I marked it here. So from the tip of the toe, we're going to go back the toe measurement that you took from here to the sweet spot. Everybody remember that? So that's going to be, on this person was 6.5. So we're going to go 6.5. This is great. Alright, so that's 6.5 there. Then what you're going to do is go from that center line that you're going to draw, from the center line over, half of 5 1/4 is what, 2 1/8?
Yeah. 2 3/8.
2 3/8, which is what I got here. Okay, so that's the first one, but we have to figure out how far down that is, right? So drawing that line across, that line is 2 1/4 down. So 2 1/4 down, I'm going to do 2 3/8, you say?
5/8.
2 5/8?
Yes.
Okay, so from here to here is this measurement. From here to here, again, we're having a straight line down here. You may have to do that over here. But this is to sweet spot, okay? Will that make sense later to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's to, that will be this one actually. But the first one is here, so we're going to draw a line across, and that's going to be approximately the full 5 1/4 with, you see how it's not halfway here? So when you, after you have that, and I'm not sure if this is making sense, but it will in a minute. So as the center line does not center her foot, but centers from front to back, you're going to have, it looks like 2.5 inches over here, and 2 inches, 1.5, about, whatever equals. Okay, so it's 5 1/4. I'm not good at math, guys. You'll know that right now. I'm going to put 3/4 right now because we'll do the math later. Okay, you understand what I'm trying to do here? So we have this measurement split per
I'm going to
the dimensions.
do the ratio.
No, you're not going to do a double ratio because we're not splitting a foot in half. That's what I'm trying to help you to see. But yes.
Yes. I'm going to split the 5 1/4.
Yes.
So it's equal, or It's not equal, but
So
it's
even-
proportional.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not half. It's
No.
important you know it's not half, because your foot does not necessarily mean half. And I don't mean to shut you down, but yes, you got it. You got it. So, as you can see, it's not a direct equidistance. So, but that's going to help form this. The next one would be 6 1/4, and it's how far down? It's about 4 inches. Again, we're just going to do abouts today, so you can get the idea. So this one is going to be 6 1/4 this way. However the measurement, a little bit from here, and the majority from here. And, for example, okay, again, I'm not doing this exact, but you'll be able to duplicate this, I think. Okay? So, and then the bottom one is 7 3/4. And again, it's kind of hard to figure that one, because it is not centered. But if, let's take 7 1/4, 7 3/4, and try and duplicate what we're looking at. So it's not centered, but it's a little off center. And just kind of out here for the length of 7 3/4. Does that make sense so far? Mm-hmm. Okay, what this is going to do is allow you to have the measurement to make the vamp. Then we're also going to go, this is 6 1/4. However, this, if you measure it around, is actually 7 1/2 or so. So just using a approximate, that actually does go there. Now in here you can cut a pattern if you want. You could do this way. It depending on whether you're going to do shoes or boots and how we want to make them. I'm sorry, am I blocking away? Handouts will have this information. January 20, whatever. January 16th, excuse me. The next meeting is the 3rd Sunday in January, which is January 16th. I think all calendars agree. So that's the day I'll have more handouts. You must let me know if you want handouts. I will have them. But this is how you can do the vamp. Again, out of vinyl first, so you make sure it fits. Then what we're going to do is look at the heel cup. And the heel cup, if I had measured this around on her while she was standing, it's pretty much the same as just doing it off the paper. They have flexible rulers. You can use a regular tape measure. The metal tape measures don't give as freely as, of course, the cloth ones do. So, if we're looking at this measurement from this line here to this line here, and again, just a crude approximation, I've got 9 1/4, so that piece is going to be straight across 9 1/4. We figured, did you want it above or under your ankle bone?
Under.
Under? So it's probably going to be about 1.5 inches, 1.5 to 2 inches. So this measurement is the same as this measurement.
And are you always measuring from the outside circle you drew around the foot tracing, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Because when you sew it, that gives you your seam allowance.
Okay. Just making sure.
That's fine. No, I measure from the outer one, because when I make it out of vinyl, the first time you make it out of the vinyl flannel tablecloth. By using the vinyl tablecloth, you have the pieces you need. You have separate pieces you can lay out on leather to see how much leather you're actually going to need. And you have a way to sew it together that you can take it apart and it's not going to tear up your leather. It's a good way to make your adjustments, and I really encourage you to do that first. So yeah, I would go ahead and cut on the line you drew. This is the one I actually drew with the pen up and down. The inner one is one I drew directly around her foot. The outer one, as sloppy as it is approximately 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, if you're not good on sewing within 1/4 inch, make it a little bigger. It's your shoe. Nobody's gonna go, oh, look at that. No, you made your own shoes, for crying out loud. Okay, so this is the heel. And somewhere centered, again, this is just for hand drawing. I'm not an artist. Okay, so she wants them about how under the ankle bone. So usually, especially on a wonderfully petite foot as this, it's probably going to be 1 to 1.5 inches tall on this side. If you want it could be straight across. Again, see, I'm not an artist. It can be straight across, you can add that piece in, you can make it up like this, whatever. But this is equidistant from a straight point through the foot to match this piece, like here. From here to here, from here to here. And then as on the side, as high as your customer or as high as you want it, whether it's over your ankle bone, which I prefer, or under your ankle bone, which some other people prefer. For me, my stability needed the above. So that's 1, 2, 3 pieces. There's your basic shoe. Right there, you got your basic shoe. For the heel, where's my hip piece? For the heel, again, this is very similar to what I've drawn here. If you wanted to stop with these pieces and make a shoe, I would suggest adding something like this to wrap around the front. Similar to the shoe boots that I started in the back. Let me grab this real quick. The boots that I was starting to make, I never finished for my growing young son. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This particular one has a point here. No, here. It has this point that I really don't know if you could see or not. But it also has a little bit of a pointed toe. If you don't want the pointed toe, just bring it out a little bit. Make it rounded. It's not rocket science. It's really a lot easier than a lot of us make it out to be. I have this part that I cut in to come up. And again, once you have your vinyl, you can play with it. Vinyl tablecloths, what, maybe $1 at the dollar store, maybe $2, but you're saving hundreds of dollars on leather. Leather can go anywhere from $30 for a scant piece to $100 or more, depending on how much you want to buy. Some of you may want to go to Conomos together or go to a leather place together and get one piece and split the cost. Yes?
Footnote, there's a leather worker here, or a leather sales here in Leavenworth. We've got a merchant here in Leavenworth.
Okay.
Okay, and basically he sells it either by the scrap by the pound, or you can buy a whole side.
Great.
You can buy buffalo, pretty much anything you need he can get for you. He tends to charge by the square foot, and it's somewhat on the pricey side.
Most leather is though.
But most leather is anywhere from 3 to 5 per square foot. But he will sell it to you by the square foot.
What weight leather do you recommend for soles versus uppers?
I'm not real smart about that stuff. Mark Carlson has it written in the handouts.
Okay.
I know what I'm feeling. I go by the feel of it. As I went to the store and touched this leather, I knew, oh, that's a good top.
Okay.
That'll wear nicely. As I felt this and felt how thin it was, I went, well, that'll be for an in-between sole or a welt. Because if I cut this here and bring it the other way, you know, well, I can't now that I've sewn it. But it's a thinner weight here, and I don't care for it for boots or shoes. I'd still have to put something here.
Are you going to put an outer sole on?
Yeah, you missed the first lecture. Yes, I am.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's
You're
on
fine.
here. You can see it later.
Yeah, it's fine. The way I had been building them is this, and then this gets glued to another piece, and that piece gets sewn or glued to the
So
rubber.
it looks like it's got a welt, but it doesn't. because
Right,
it's-
right. Actually, if it had a welt, it would be extending out.
Yeah, and that
With
would
the
be
other
turned
holes-
under, but.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
At first look, it
Right,
doesn't look like
right.
it's got a welt.
Eileen,
Yeah, yes,
That's called an inner sole sometimes.
yes,
And sometimes it's put in there for comfort, because that's a relatively soft leather.
yes.
That allows you to use vegetable tan, heavyweight armor grade type leather for the sole, but still have something soft and comfortable next to your feet.
Which brings me to another question. If you wear orthotics, you should actually be wearing the orthotics when you take all these measurements.
Absolutely.
I've not had that problem before, but I've heard two voices say yes.
Yeah.
Wear whatever socks
Here's
you're going to
three.
wear with the boots
Yeah.
when you take the measurement.
Right.
Exactly. It's anything
Yeah.
you're going to wear the boots. If you're going to wear big, heavy socks that you knit, that you hand knit,
Yeah.
then you might want to have a pair of those on, or allow for it when you make your cut. But again, doing the basics, we're going to do them in vinyl first. If you find you need orthotics, what have you cut but a little piece of vinyl?
Right.
You understand?
Would-
Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I was also thinking it would be better to learn how to do it on a pair of shoes as opposed to boots, because you have all of that upper that is.
There's your shoe. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but then there's not a whole lot of difference between that and adding a leg
And adding this piece.
Right.
Exactly, exactly. That's why I'm thinking that this might be a great pattern to start with. You've got the vamp, you've got a sole, you've got the heel, which in this case is reinforced all the way around, and the part that can tie across.
I want to see what you mean by reinforced.
It's two pieces.
Oh, it's 2 layers.
Yeah,
Oh.
missed the lecture.
I'm sorry.
Go back to the other lecture, it's okay. And as far as that goes, hang on. One more thing.
Is that the same kind of leather? No, it's a
No, it's
thicker
a
piece of leather.
No, this piece is the same type of weight, okay? You were asking about a couple of things. You were asking about the,
Yeah.
Caitlin, you were asking about the bottom piece.
Right.
This, you can see, is a lot thicker.
Yeah.
This is what my first pair of boots was sewn to, and then I added the rubber base. Then I took and, I think we called it a bandsaw, but I
You just cut it to make
cut it to fit what I had already made, as you can see how well worn they are, and after it was glued. So it does have the shape of it. There are other ways that you can do it. This is the way I was taught and the way that worked for me. So this is the 2 different types that you can see there, and I think this is 2 different types.
Right.
Okay? So this piece is actually a soft piece like that,
That's
and the
sewn
bottom
to the
one,
bottom,
right.
which is then glued to
Right.
rubber.
Right.
Okay.
So like this one, like these, I have a reinforced heel cup.
I'll see.
I have the heel, the reinforced heel cup, the vamp, and in here, if I can see it, I don't know if you can see there are 3 pieces there. This is the vamp, this is my insole, this is the bottom that it's glued to. Then I have a very thin piece of protector of bottom weight sole, very thin. I think it was conveyor belt. Seriously, it's just something very thin that you can see there's actually 4 layers at the toe. Only 2 are sewn through. The insole is glued to the bottom, the outer sole, and the outer sole is glued to the conveyor belt or rubber piece that kept me from slipping. You can also see that here, and this is another, you can see all the layers here, as well as where this particular wore when I wore it out, because the heel was not reinforced well enough, because I should have reinforced it with a stiffer, stronger piece of leather. Instead I just used the same type of leather.
Now, do you put
So
the stronger
more.
piece of leather on the inside or the outside?
I would put it on the inside.
Because that's where you're going to be
That's where I
pushing
need it.
against it when you...
Right.
Okay.
So
That's where I need
basically
it.
what happened is the back of the heel started getting squishy, so it could
Yes.
slink down
Yes.
onto the ground?
Yes.
My boots are doing that. I didn't know they weren't supposed to.
They're not supposed to. No, boots should, the back of boots, a well-made pair of boots should come down like this.
What shoe do you wear?
Me?
Yeah.
Depends how they're cut. Anywhere from 7.5 to, those are not for me, those were for Gabe when he was growing.
Oh.
They were for somebody, I don't remember. And I'm never gonna finish those. But they're a great example.
Right on.
Mhm.
So, yeah, boots should fit so that the heel does not come crushing down. If your boot starts doing this, I mean, and this is folding over here, this starts having bends like this one did. You see how it slid off? This was me. Words are failing me, I'm sorry. But you see how on this particular boot, it kind of slides off to one side?
Yeah.
That's because there's too much room in here. I should have had something tying this a little bit more closely around my ankle, which is when I came up with this through a suggestion from other boot makers. So it has the straps that come around this way, which is what I've drawn in here. So instead of just having this heel, you add this piece that will wrap around it and tie in front. or then wrap around your whole foot, or however you want to do it. So those are your basic pieces. That's how you get the basic measurements. Does that make sense? This is for shoes or boots. The only difference on boots, there's another measurement you would take. Afrika, would you come stand for just a moment? We're not going to take the measurement, but I want to show people how to do it.
Okay.
And please, use the stair.
Okay.